Welcome to another episode, Chat Sports Talk, and welcome to this post-Christmas edition of this 2023 NFL season. That's right, we're doing Week 17. We're getting down to the final 2 weeks of NFL action. Still a lot out there. Only 2 divisional crowns have been clinched in the NFC. 2 additional playoff positions have also been clinched. No one knows who's going to win the East, the South, or who's the other 2 wild cards. In the AFC side, it's just Baltimore and Miami. They haven't clinched yet, but they're in the playoffs. But we don't know who's going to win the South. I don't know who's going to win the West or who the 3 wild cards are. So, also, who are going to be the number 1 seeds? There's a lot of things still to battle out for the next 2 weeks. Start seeing injuries take a huge factor into a lot of these matchups. You start seeing teams taking a different direction and running with it, and others taking a different direction and failing with it. Let's do a quick synopsis of Week 16, where I actually did quite well. I was kind of giddy at how I was performing until it came to that Christmas Eve matchup. And then from there out, I didn't do very well. And finishing 12-4 overall, which I was quite happy with. And I'll be honest, I didn't really see most of the games. I've been busy doing other things, dealing with other issues with the family and other family activities, especially this holiday weekend. But all in all, I mean, most of these games pretty much went exactly how I thought they would. The Saints give the Rams a little more trouble on Thursday night than most people thought. Steelers' defense was just way too much for Cincinnati. And then Mason Rudolph made a return to the starting position, which seems to be the right fit right now for the Steelers. The Bills struggled to maintain. I actually had to come back to win against the Chargers. There's some life there. Atlanta was way too much for the Colts, back behind Taylor Heineke, now being the starter. Detroit won their first divisional title since 1993, when we still had the old Central divisions, when we're down to 3 divisions per conference. That is how long it has taken Detroit to win a division. They've been in the playoff, I think, like twice since then. This franchise has suffered a lot. So congrats to the Lions for winning. Minnesota lost Hawkinson after this game, so the injuries continue to hamper Minnesota. Detroit needs to kind of rectify their position. I mean, winning the division is great. That means they got home game in the playoffs, but they're not taking one by surprise anymore. The Jets, led by Trevor Siemian, were too much for the Commanders. But the game should have been much further apart than it was. Washington tried to give them the game, and the Jets wouldn't take it. They want to make it difficult for themselves, but they still ended up winning. The Packers barely escaped the Carolina. Went down there in Charlotte 33-30. Bryce Young had an excellent game of 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Still won. Cleveland won in Houston. Tampa Bay just obliterated Jacksonville. Now come to find out that Trevor Lawrence has a right shoulder AC joint sprain, so he is doubtful or questionable right now for Week 17. The Bears did enough just to beat the Cardinals. Getting their win. Miami had to come from behind and knock off Dallas once again. Dallas on the road against a good team. Struggles to close it out. New England, behind Zappy, just embarrassed Denver in Mile High. That was giving me loss number 2 because I lost the Colts-Falcons game. But they held on to withstand a late Denver charge. The Raiders on Christmas Day gave the Chiefs a bunch of coal in their stockings as the defense and Max Crosby dominated Patrick Mahomes and offensive line. Mahomes had no avenue to really throw. He was unsure. You could definitely tell he was unsure. There was a few times some receivers were open. He didn't even go there. Times in the past he would have. So there's definitely some issues going on in Kansas City, which is a wrong time for him to kind of do that. Because now they left the window open for anyone to take the division, be it Denver or Las Vegas. Philly got back on their winning ways against the Giants, which I kind of figured they would. And the Ravens had a statement game at Santa Clara, having Brock Purdy look like a third stringer, throwing 4 interceptions in the game, something that hasn't happened in quite a long time, especially for the 49ers. The last person to do that was Colin Kaepernick. So those were, the games are lost. Colts, Falcons, Sunday night matinee with the Broncos and Patriots, Raiders and KC, and then the final game of Baltimore, San Francisco. Those are the 4 games that lost. I think the Chiefs game was an upset. I think the Denver game is probably an upset. A lot of people picked Baltimore to beat San Francisco, so I probably was looking for the upset. But I'll let you know that no lead's safe. No team's dominant right now. You can't really look at one team and go, that's the one. People will say Baltimore probably is the number 1 team right now in the league. In hindsight, yeah, you're probably right. They look the most dominant team. I'm still going to stick with my picks that I have, so we'll see how that one transpires. And we'll prepare for Week 17. Now, Week 17, there'll be no Monday night matchup. That'll be now on a Saturday. So let's just go over some of the game. Let's go over the Week 17 matchups. We'll start off Thursday night, where we head to Cleveland, where the Jets will come to town, take on Joe Flacco and the Browns. That's right, Joe Flacco. The Baltimore great. And the Ravens great, should I really say. One-time New York Jet quarterback taking on his old coach. Should be interesting to see if Trevor Siemian and that Jets defense, what they can do against Cleveland. It's going to be a lot stiffer opponent taking on the Browns. The Browns have a possibility of making a playoff run. They got 10 wins, haven't clinched. They're still battling, Baltimore for that division lead or that division title. A little hard pressed, I think, to catch them. But anything can happen, especially you're looking at 2 weeks of the game. Because if Cleveland wins out, Baltimore loses out, and there's a possibility. But strange things have happened, and I'm looking at this one. I think this is going to be Cleveland's game. Offense a little more intact. Defenses, I think, are identical. I give a slight edge to the Jets, just slightly. But the Cleveland receivers should probably help out a lot. The rushing game, the defensive line for the Browns should really help balance out that defensive front for the Jets. Flacco kind of knowing how solid kind of things to probably help out. Says there's no ill will with the Jets. He's happy where he's at. He wants to stick it to him. We'll just put it that way. Right now the line has it at 7. I'll go with the Browns. I'm not gonna push back any with the point spread. Of course, by the time I'm recording this is late Tuesday night, so I'm sure things would change between now and Thursday, or even Sunday for the rest of the game. So we'll see what happens. And then Saturday, only one game. This is going to be the quote-unquote Monday night special. This is at ABC ESPN. English hard sometimes. We'll find the Lions head down to Big D, take on the Cowboys. Both these teams head into the postseason. Dallas is trying to bounce back after kind of falling short in Miami. Taking on another quality team. They're at home. This is where I think Dallas will kind of thrive, trying to bounce back. The defense got to find ways to do that. But if Detroit can run the ball, this would change the aspect of the game. Once again, the running game has been a Achilles heel right now in that Cowboys defense. Goff is a competent quarterback. He should be able to find the holes in the secondary, what little there are. But right now, I think Dallas is going to be the deciding factor how this one kind of goes. Dallas has been playing extremely well, and I do see them righting the ship, putting pressure on Philadelphia. Right now, the line is 6 points for Dallas. I'm not going to push back that either. I'm taking the Cowboys. Let's head over to the Sunday games. Let's start off at their Western New York between the Patriots and the Bills. The Patriots looked really good last week behind Zappy. And Buffalo is starting to turn a new leaf now in Buffalo. And James Cook is really starting to cook. Between him and Josh Allen both running the ball, that gives you a different aspect. For the Patriots, Ezekiel Elliott looked really good. So can Buffalo's defense do that? And that's another problem with Buffalo's. Their defense tends to cough up the game. There's been a lot of issues with Josh Allen with ball security. So as long as the offense does their part, controls the tempo of the game for the Bills, make sure Diggs gets the touch, Cook gets his runs in, Allen does his thing as well, I think Buffalo should be able to withstand anything. Right now, the line is 12 in favor of Buffalo. This one I will push back. This is a divisional game. Divisional games always played a lot tighter than what the lines normally say. I'm still picking Buffalo in this matchup. I think this will be less than 9, so I'm kind of go with the 8.5 line on this one. Like I said, this is late Tuesday night, so like I said, lines can change by the time Sunday rolls around. But I'm going the Bills to win at home to keep the pressure on Miami. Now we head over to Chicago for the Bears as they play host to the Dirty Birds of Atlanta. Now Falcons behind Taylor Heineke, who was laying out some blocks for Bijan Robinson. Take on the Bears team that's sniffing the playoffs. But I think, the Bears might be preparing for hibernation. For them, I think they could actually win this one, play a little spoilers for Atlanta, because Atlanta is just one of these teams that does well one week and then loses the next, and then they've already won. So it might be time for them to take another loss. And this team doesn't, one step forward, two steps back type of mentality. But I think Heineke should make things interesting. Bijan Robinson should make things interesting. As long as Justin Fields can find ways to be consistent, that's all you're looking for. DJ Moore should have a very predictive day as well. Right now, the line is Chicago by 3. I like that. Going with the Bears. Here we're to Indianapolis, where the Colts will play host to the Red Hot Raiders right now. This is a team that has a new lease on life. They are rallying around. They believe. Look what they did at Kansas City. Stopping a 7-game slide against the Chiefs. And the Colts, they're right now living far beyond expectations where people thought they would be at. People had high expectations when they had Richard Jefferson as their starting quarterback. I did not. But Gardner Minshew has really taken this team and led them. O'Connell's leading the Raiders right now. The defenses are pretty good. These are two quality teams right now that I think nobody expected them to be where they're at. And the fact that the Raiders are close to a playoff berth, possibly even winning the division from the Chiefs. I mean, that's actually even a possibility. Right now, the line is Indianapolis by 3. I'm taking the Raiders to win in Indy to continue to put the pressure in the West and pressure to try to get into the playoffs. I mean, it is a tight race. And with the Raiders beating the Colts, that will help out the Bills a lot to give them, eliminate some pressure from them. But this should be interesting coming down to the wire. Then we're back over to New York for the G-Men take on the Rams. Yeah, the G-Men is just they seem to go through another quarterback, and Stafford has just been very consistent. The receivers have been very consistent. The defensive line's been productive. Right now, the line has the Rams by 6. I don't think I'm going to alter that at all. I like the Rams in this one. The Rams is just one of these quiet teams right now in the NFC making a run for the playoffs. Over to Phillies, they play host to the Cardinals in the Battle of the Birds in the city of brotherly love. And the line right now has it as Philly by 10.5. They have no love for Arizona. Kyler Murray should make it interesting for a bit. That won't last. They'll have probably about 3 or 4 good drives, scoring 3 of them, and probably only have like 13 points by the end of the game. This is another game the Eagles need to get right. Win this one. Division's theirs. More or less. They'll find out if Dallas wins or not. But yeah, I think this is going to be Philly. 10.5. I think it's a little generous. I think it's more of a 9.5 type of game. So I do see Philadelphia win this one should win this one, and like I said, get close to probably winning that division. Depending, they probably could win depending on what happens in Dallas with the Lions and Cowboys. But when you get the Cardinals this week and Giants again next week, the ball is in the Eagles' corner. Then a huge NFC South matchup between the Saints and the Buccaneers. This is going to be probably for the divisional title. Especially if the Falcons lose in Chicago, this will be for the division. And Buccaneers have an opportunity to win it with Baker Mayfield. That's right. The ex-Browns quarterback who just couldn't seem to generate anything with the Browns now could have himself a division-winning team in Tampa Bay. The team is just firing off cylinders. You saw what they did last week against Jacksonville. They just decimated them. The Saints will make this close. There's no doubt about that one. There's too much pride with the Saints, so they should keep this close. Right now, the line has a Tampa Bay by 3. I like that. I will go with the Tampa Bay. I think they will win this one, win the division. They'll probably have a date with the Cowboys in the playoffs. Then we're over to the nation's capital as the Commanders play host at the 49ers. The Commanders tried to give a lot of points away to the Jets. They just wouldn't take them. The 49ers really have to come back and bounce back from their horrible game against the Ravens on Christmas night. And what better way for McCaffrey, I think, to get back on the MVP train. I think he's more an MVP than Purdy is. But I think this is going to be a game for the 49ers to get there. Right now the line's 13.5 for the Niners. I'm not even going to push back that. I think the 49ers are going to go in there and just pick apart Washington with no problem. 49ers. We have an interesting one out there in Jacksonville with the Jaguars playing host to the Panthers. Now, I mentioned earlier, Trevor Lawrence has a sprained AC joint in his shoulder. He's listed as questionable for Sunday's action. Remember, I'm recording this video late Tuesday night. So there could be a scenario where he will actually play. Now, how effective he is going to be, I do not know. You look what the Carolinas did 2 weeks ago, beat Atlanta. went toe-to-toe with Green Bay, and Bryce Young looked really, really good in that matchup. With the problems right now with the Jaguars' offense, I didn't think Carroll was going to do it, get any more than 2 victories this season. But despite the line having the Jaguars by 7, I think they're really counting on Trevor Lawrence to come back. I think one good hit and he's out. If I was Doug Peterson, I would probably have him suit up but not be the starter. Carolina has nothing to lose. They're going to throw everything at Jacksonville, plus the kitchen sink, the bathroom sink, and the shed. Taking the Panthers in an upset in Jacksonville. And I really think Trevor Lawrence probably will not start this game. I think he might be listed as an emergency backup quarterback. Just to kind of keep him ready, but not playing as of yet unless, things kind of go a different direction. But as me being conservative, he'll probably will end up starting, but I'll take the Panthers. A huge matchup in Baltimore where the Ravens play host to the Dolphins. This would pretty much ice the number 1 seed if Baltimore wins this game. Once again, Baltimore's taking another quality team. Look what they've done with like the Lions and the 49ers. They've dominated. Can they do the same thing against Miami? Miami handled Dallas. They had to come from behind to beat Dallas. But taking on a very potent defense that will rush Tua. We have enough time for him to get to Tyreek Hill and Waddle. That'd be the question. Can the Dolphins' running attack start up and be productive? That could be another thing. We've seen what happened when these two teams faced off last year, and Miami had a huge comeback as the defense gave out. But if that defensive front continues to wreak havoc, way I think they probably will, I think Miami's going to find himself in trouble. Right now the line's 3.5. I like that. I'm going Baltimore to win, to clinch the AFC. Head down to Houston, where the Titans will come into town, and the Titans win these teams. It just keeps. They have these one step forward, 3 steps back type of mentality, and taking on Houston, teams kind of bouncing around a bit, and trying to look at last week, they just couldn't really handle the rush that the Browns gave them. The Titans battled with Seattle last week, came on the short end of the stick. Let them go back at it again. And right now the line has as Houston 3.5. I'm going to take the Titans in this one to really play havoc in that AFC South as all 3, if my picks go correctly, all 3 be 8-8 with 1 game left. Chaos. That's what I'm hoping for in these scenarios. I don't have a lot of faith in this pick either, to tell you the truth, but I will go Titans edging out Houston and H-Town. The Steelers now head up to Seattle to take on the Seahawks, and these two teams are sniffing the playoffs. Yeah, so they got to try to get back into position. Steelers look really good against Cincinnati. They'll take on a slightly better team in Seattle. We'll see how they will proceed from here, how Mason Rudolph can continue. See if he can continue his winning ways. Right now, the line has it by Seattle by 3.5. I think it's going to be closer. I think it's going to be like a 2-point affair. I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to be a defensive showdown. Steelers will make their presence felt defensively. Mason Rudolph should have some decent attempts in this game. I think Geno Smith and should find ways to get going, especially when you have Lockett and Metcalf, and of course they're running a duo back there as well. offensive line can hold up against that front. I will give it to Seattle in like a 2-point victory. Chargers will head to Mile High, take on the Broncos. The Broncos need this win to get back into the playoff hunt. They still have a punter's chance right now to get in. Things kind of have to fall their way. They try to come back against New England. They were just a little too late. The Chargers are reeling right now, but they had a wonderful game against Buffalo. Just fell short. So we'll see how they will continue to go. I'm taking Denver in this one. The line has it by 5. I'm not going to press against that one at all. I think Denver is really more poised to make a decent run. I might miss the playoffs, but we'll see what happens. But I think Russ is going to find ways to get the team back in line and move forward. There's too many issues with the Chargers right now, and the defense is probably won't have a hard time holding up against Russ and Sutton. Broncos at home. Bengals, we're going to lip into the plains of Kansas City to take on the wounded Chiefs. That Chiefs wide receiving core and quarterback are not on the same page at all. Even Travis Kelce seems to be out of sync lately. The magic of Taylor Swift seems to have eroded. And you look what happened against Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, which is obliterated. But you saw what happened with the Chiefs, with the Raiders. Their defense couldn't withstand the Raiders, and they're caught up 2 defensive scores or quick scores off of turnovers to the Raiders. Pretty quick succession, especially when it was a pick 6. So defensively, the Chiefs weren't that bad. They were just playing behind and then had a hard time stopping the run. So if Mixon can get going for the Bengals, that could spell particular doom for the Chiefs. Unfortunately for the Chiefs, running is going to be an issue. Patrick Mahomes will have to be the 2-point attack, something he hasn't really been since the beginning of his career. His receivers are just not there, except for maybe Travis Kelce when he can get open. So teams will double up on him or make it difficult for Mahomes to find him. Right now, the line has the Chiefs by 7. No. I think this is going to be close just because how these teams are kind of operating right now. They are limping at the wrong part of the season. Can the Chiefs get back offensively with the receivers and Mahomes in this game? Maybe. But I do like the Chiefs as well, but I think it's going to be like a 3-4 point victory, so I'll go 3.5 on this aspect, but I am taking the Chiefs. And we'll end the game Sunday night with the Packers heading off to Minnesota. Minnesota's dealing with some major issues on that team. The Packers seem to have some successful games with Jordan Love at quarterback. Remember, it's a young receiving core. I mentioned a couple other videos I've done this season for the Packers. A very, very young team, a very well-coached team. Minnesota, also a very well-coached team. Injuries have been a major issue with them all season long. They could put up a fight against Detroit, fell short. Right now, the line has it by Minnesota by 2. I think this will pick 'em game as well. But I'm going to take Jordan Love and the Packers to win in Minnesota. I know it's going to be a bit of a stretch, but Minnesota doesn't seem like they're playing at home too well. They're only 2-5 at home. But the Packers don't like playing away from Lambeau Field. They're 3-5. So you have that aspect. And this being a divisional game, the old North Division, between these two. And I don't know, just something about Minnesota is they're just not clicking for me. Oh, I will uneasily take the Packers to win Sunday night. Well, there you go. Those are my picks. We'll see if I can try to mimic what I did previously with the 12-4 as we continue to head to the new year and see what happens with that last week of action to see where things kind of land in terms of the playoff scenarios. But like I said, there's so many ends and whatnot to how things could kind of go, and there's still like a 2-3 page document out there of possible playoff scenarios and how things can match up, and it is just crazy how this season is going towards the end right now. Like I said, no team is really dominant. We thought earlier it could have been Philadelphia, it could have been San Francisco. Right now, Baltimore's the number one team. We'll see how things kind of play out as we move forward, but this is definitely a interesting thing. If like look at the NFC, the Niners, Eagles, and Lions all end up tied, Niners will get the number one seed because Niners beat those two teams quite handily, mind you. But we'll see how this plays out. I think over time, I think the Bears will find themselves out of the playoffs. The fact that they're sniffing the playoffs is I think laughable. But just look at teams are 8-7, so it's quite a possibility that they could sneak in if things fall the right direction, which is funny. But just let me know down below what you think of these games, which games you're looking forward to this weekend. There's definitely some interesting matchups. Is your team still in the playoff hunt? The Bears are still hanging on somehow. We'll see how that continues on. Hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. Spent time with the family. Had a few laughs, maybe a few drinks, some good food. Eat too much when you really should. I know I did. Yeah, if you're still here at the end and you really like what I do, go hit the thumbs up. It really helps promote this video out. It really gets out to everyone else hear this ramblings of this crazy old man. You also subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. It helps me a ton. Simply to do that, you click that subscribe button. Click that bell icon and turn on your notification. Let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.